Well, we wanted to do a quick final video on our trip out west. We are in Bristol. We're about 100 miles from home, and currently showing 47:51 on trip A, which is this trip. Started at about 15 miles late, and so it'll be about 4,850 miles that we've done in 2 weeks. Left North Carolina, drove all the way across country to Tucson, spent 4 days in Tucson, and meandered our way back. We also stopped at the diamond mine in Arkansas on our way out. Pretty good trip. A couple of observations. We stopped at 20 some odd superchargers going across country and back. No issues. All the chargers, as far as we could tell, were operational. None were out of service. Very little utilization. Most of the time we were the only car there, or maybe one other car charging. Never ran it. The busiest one might have had 2 spaces left, but definitely underutilized. But had no issues finding chargers or getting a charge. The FSD has been fabulous. I really think it's driven all but maybe 10 or 15 miles. I'll take it in a parking lot. Probably the biggest problem it has now is it doesn't know what I want to do. It doesn't know spur of the moment that I want to stop at this fast food joint, or having to enter manually every destination isn't typically the way humans work. We make spontaneous decisions. And also it gets a little bit, it is interesting, the mind of the machine is obviously trying to come up with its own navigation as opposed to Google, because you will see a path on Google, on the map of the way Google suggests that you route, but then the car will take a totally different route, mainly in parking lots and that sort of thing. Interstate, even the inner city driving, almost flawless, probably less flawed than me. If I get, we went to Nashville today, and the few times I took over or doubted the car, I was wrong. The car was right. And its ability to quickly move in front of or in between cars in lane changes, it does things I wouldn't even attempt to do because I can't see. I can't see around myself and keep aware of what's ahead of me and pull it off. It really is amazing how far it's moved ahead.
And twice it's taken us off course to avoid traffic on the interstate.
Yeah, just
spontaneously.
All of a sudden it exits us off the interstate, and we're like, what's going on? And sure enough, the interstate is all blocked up, and it takes us 20 miles through the country and puts us back out on the interstate. It's really is a phenomenal piece of technology. And the more we ride in it and let it drive and watch how poorly human beings drive and how dangerous human beings are, because every one of them is doing this, constantly. Every car you pass, we just passed a van who he had his laptop computer sitting right here with a movie going. People pay no attention to what they're doing. They're all over the road. Right there, some guy's crossing over the line, probably because he's texting. As I've said before, the sooner human beings are taken out of the driving equation, the better off we'll all be. It is time to end human drivers. We're just far too dangerous. But other than that, we've had a great trip. We've hardly been in any rain, even though there have been storms and tornadoes and all sorts of bad weather around us. We've dodged that. The level 2 charging in motels, you have to be pretty resourceful to find them, but they're there, and it's a great option. Pull in with 10-20% charge, get a motel, and most of them are free. Plug in and wake up in the morning, your car's fully charged, and you're ready to go. We've probably averaged 450 miles a day. I think the highest we did was a little over 5 in a single day. And, I could not do it in any other car. I could probably do it in a nice car, but it would have to have this. The fact that I don't have to keep that death grip on the steering wheel, I don't have to be stressed out about all these cars and trucks around me, and are they crossing over? Are they going to run into me? Do I need to take this exit or the one after it? Because the car knows far better than I could, and it just takes so much stress off. There's no way I could sit in this seat and ride, which is really what I've done for 5,000 miles. If I was having to actively drive, I could not do it. But been a great trip. You got anything you would like to add?
No, it's just we stopped at museums. I encourage people to take advantage of road trips. Plan, don't plan, but support museums along the way.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. Route 66 is a trip. There's all these little communities that are trying to revitalize, and there's a museum about every 5 miles of old cars and different things. One thing we have noticed, and it was probably what Elon actually woke up and saw a couple of weeks ago, was some really crazy things being done with superchargers. One in particular we went to
Casey Jones Village.
Yeah, it's a Casey Jones Village. They've got the trains and the old town and food and stuff, and it is a neat place to stop. It's a great location. There are things to do, and they had, I'd say, 16 chargers there last year, but they've come in and doubled it, and they've put them in the parking lot with no it's not EV charging only. It's basically first come, first serve. So ICE cars can park where the charge, but it's way overbuilt. There's no way that site needs. How many did we wind up counting?
There were 23.
23.
There were actually 8 last year, and there are now 23.
I think it would be 24. I don't think they do them in odd numbers.
Well, there was that weird one that was over there by the other side.
And they also had level 2 charging there too.
Right.
But there's no logical reason that, and instead of doing that, they should have gone between Van Buren and Oklahoma City along Route 66 and put in a charger, because that's a huge gap. We saw some other ones at other locations that seemed to be overbuilt and made no sense. We went to one that had 16 supercharger stalls and then had 16 level 2 chargers right across from it. Why? Who's going to pull? There was a recreational facility not far,
and a grocery store.
And a grocery store, but I just cannot imagine that it warranted at this moment in time, or probably in the near future, to put that much charging in one location. I personally think that every bit of the federal money should go to level 2 charging at motels, state parks, certainly any public
municipal buildings, federal buildings.
Yeah. We need level 2 charging, a lot more level 2 charging. It's clear the supercharger network is overbuilt. I know there are holes. I know that some locations, especially in California and whatnot, they can't put in enough. But everywhere else across the country, I don't see it. North Carolina is a good example. I don't know how many stations supercharger locations there are in North Carolina now, but they are overbuilt. You go to, I guarantee you, 90% of the superchargers, you have a 90% chance of pulling into it with no car there. You'd be the only one charging. And I know EVs have slowed down, all car sales have slowed down, but I just think they've overdone it. And some of the things they've done have not made sense.
Well, I think they need to reevaluate, we still need additional chargers. It's just we don't need 20 chargers at a lot of these locations.
Yeah. We need more charging locations,
right,
but probably not as many stalls. Spread it out some.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go at it. And just some of them don't seem to make any sense. There had to be some kind of economic, the property owner, the businesses, maybe they paid Tesla to put in more. I hope that's the path, that it was legitimate and it wasn't somebody involved that was getting graft or doing something improper. But overall, I can understand slowing down to build more, especially to expand existing charging stations. We saw none that needed to be expanded. We saw some gaps that would be nice to fill in, but I think that's the path they need to go with.
Well, I think the only gaps we saw were in southwestern New Mexico and eastern Oklahoma.
Right, I-40, the I-40 stretch, Kyle's desert between Van Buren and Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And whatever it is between Oklahoma City and
And we could use another one in northwestern North Carolina.
Wilksboro,
yes,
Wilkesboro.
That's what I've wanted for years.
You can coast down the mountain to get to it, but you can't climb the mountain without a charge.
Right.
So, they've got one in Boone. I would argue that they should have put one in Wilkesboro before they put the one in Boone.
I agree.
People think of Boone as a tourist destination, but Jody and I both view it more as you're passing through. You're trying to get out of Boone because it's just so crowded and there's nothing that attractive to it in my mind anymore. But anyway, I'm sure we all have our opinions.
But yeah, it was a good trip, and I'm glad to be on our way home though.
But a Model X is still the finest road traveling car I've ever been in. I know that. But we've enjoyed it. And knock on wood, we've got 56,000 miles on this car now, and it's a 2022. One other thing, if you own a Model X or you're going to get one, you must spend the $1,500 to $2,000 to buy the adjustable camber arms for the rear of the car.
Which is aftermarket, right?
It is aftermarket. Tesla does not offer them. It'd be a good class action lawsuit for all of us to get together against Tesla. But it is insane that they build these cars. It's a nice, heavy, aluminum cast camber arm that's made on these cars, and it's between the casting, the body casting, and the suspension. And in a perfect world, and I'm sure Tesla engineers thought that they could hold the tolerances good enough, but they can't. And you buy the adjustable camber arms. It's just got a turnbuckle mechanism made into it. They're high quality. They do not void the warranty, but you can set the camber to the spec that Tesla calls for. That's the key. The car from the factory cannot meet the spec that is required to prevent inner tire wear on the rear. And it's very dangerous because your tires look great. You think you've got 50% or more tread wear left, but in reality, the belts are showing on the inside. And Tesla service centers will tell you it's within spec. And I was at a service center a month ago, and listened to one of the alignment guys working with Tesla, for Tesla, tell a customer that to expect no more than 15,000 miles out of a set of tires on a Model X, that it's the way they're designed and the way they run. And I'm sorry, that's total BS. And I stepped over, had never met either one of them, and I showed the guy on the phone, on my phone, where he could buy the camber arms, and he took a picture of my phone, and the Tesla guy said, we can't install those, it's aftermarket, it is an option, but once you put them on, we can't adjust it. And I told the guy, I said, you're far better off going to a good alignment shop, that's all they do. They'll put the arms on for you, and they'll put it in spec, and your tire wear will go away. And we're running a set of tires on this car right now, and they're wearing perfect all the way across the profile. So it's something that you have to write in. If you're going to buy a Model X, used, new, whatever, just face the music and go on and buy it. You'll pay for it in one set of tires. But I know nothing. Oh, we just had a phantom braking event. Wow.
How many miles?
That was one of the strongest ones, and it was a pavement color change, but we really not experienced that. We had a couple out west in the heat. I think some of the mirage, heat effect on the road got it a couple of times, but that was the most severe one.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I felt in a long time. But anyway, just wanted to update everybody on our trip, and we've had a good time. Look forward to the next one.
Which should be actually Boca Chica.
Yeah, we might wind up back down there for number 4. We definitely will 5 if they're going to attempt some catch. I would love to go see that.
We'll catch you later.